postnatal plank pose. The key to getting a safe plank back into your practice postnatally is to make it a progression while being able to manage your intra-abdominal pressure, so the pressure sitting within the abdomen. For our postnatal ladies, the path of least resistance that pressure wants to escape through is going to be down the midline, where you've got a diastasis recti, or maybe you're healing it, or maybe you've managed to heal it. That's fine, it'll all be covered in the progression, but that's the path of least resistance, number one, down the midline, because a growing baby will always, 100% of women, end up with diastasis recti by the end of their pregnancy, because as the baby grows, it has to move those abdominal muscles, and it results in a thinning of the connective tissue down the midline. So path of least resistance, number one, pressure is going to want to try to escape through the midline. Path of least resistance, number two, is the pelvic floor. It's the other weakened area by a pregnancy, regardless of the mode of birth. Carrying that extra weight of baby on those pelvic floor muscles for that many months will weaken them to some extent, and a vaginal birth, particularly with any kind of physical trauma like tearing and that sort of thing, can make the pelvic floor quite weak and quite susceptible. So we want to move safely, and we're going to start our plank with hands and knees. And you know, preconception women can learn this too, so there's no trouble watching this if you've never had a baby. You might as well learn early on. And our prenatal women can go ahead and watch as well if you'd like to, because it's going to be useful for you in future, but you can do it now in pregnancy as long as you're really gentle about it and you're not going to risk compressing or feeling strain in the belly area. So stage one should be quite safe for everybody at all the stages to try. And we're going to start by aligning ourselves on our hands and knees. Check in that the joints of the arms are stacked neatly under each other, so wrist and elbow and shoulder are all in a nice straight line. Our pelvis and knees are also stacked, and then just turn and have a quick look at the ankles, making sure they're in a nice straight line behind the knees. So the lower legs are basically parallel, tops of the feet flat on the mat. From here, we're just going to work with stage one towards our plank progression, which is being able to engage the pelvic floor and core. And to do that, you're going to, usually on an exhale, because it's the easiest way to engage. You know what, let's start with the inhale. Inhale and relax everything in the whole body. See if you can get a sensation of expansion through the whole torso. And then when you exhale, you're going to lift the cervix in and up towards the spine. So imagine a space roughly 1 finger length inside the vagina, and there's sort of a string attached to that, pulling it in and up towards your spine. That's got your pelvic floor engaged. And towards the end of your exhale, you can lift that core, so the navel is then drawing in and up towards the spine. So now I've got pelvic floor and core engagement, and that's the start of our pressure management. We want to be able to engage that and then hold an engagement through a few breath cycles before we progress any further. We want to know that we can hold those steady, so that when we go and put more strain on it, moving into exercise or cough, sneeze, run, jump, even lifting and carrying baby, we've got that stability and support available, so the pressure in the abdomen will distribute more normally, more evenly across the whole body. So if you have successfully done stage one, and that is actually, I'll just let you know, it's suitable for prenatal, as long as you do it gently, no strain. It's suitable for postnatal early on if you had a vaginal birth. If you had a C-section, it's best not to do any sort of abdominal work until you've got clearance from a doctor or physio, because all 4 layers of your abdominal muscles got cut through and stitched back together, and they need some time to heal before you go working them at all. So best to wait until more than 6 weeks postnatal for C-section. Everybody else can start quite early with this reconnection to core. If you are fine with that and feeling good and steady, you can start to move the hands forward, and even our prenatals can come into this slightly easier version of plank where you stay on the knees, walking the hands forward until the shoulders are stacked over the elbows and wrists again. And we can draw a straight line from the shoulder down through the hip all the way to the knee. So your tailbone's going to need to tuck under a little. And check in with your core support and just walk the hands back closer to the body if you feel any sensation of outward pressure through the midline or downward pressure through the pelvic floor. For our prenatals, I'd prefer you not to hold this for long unless you were already quite strong in your core. In pregnancy, you're not aiming to increase the strength at all. You don't want to risk strain. So you would maybe move in and out of that pose a little, just maintaining your strength, or elevate the hands, maybe coming up onto blocks or even a chair so that you get a little less pressure through your abdomen there. Our postnatals, always remember that as soon as you start losing control of that pressure management through the midline and through the pelvic floor, or either one of those, you're going to walk the hands back in, and that's enough plank progression for you for now. You can always come back into it and have another go. Just check in, and the other check you can do is you can have a partner or even yourself if you can see, maybe if you can work out just in a sports bra or something, you might be able to see or feel with fingers a bulging out through the midline. If that happens, that's too much. You've lost control of that pressure, so you're going to walk the hands back and rest. You may come back into the pose today, or that might be enough today. And if you're quite strong and happy there and you feel like your pressure management is perfectly fine and you're able to breathe normally still, then you could look at tucking the toes and coming into the third stage of our progression, full plank. Just check in once again that you've still got those arm joints nicely stacked. And now there should be a straight line from the shoulder down through the hip to the ankle. If at any time you need to come down to the knees or all the way out, by all means have a rest. If you find you're straining with the breath or you're feeling any down or outward sensation of pressure, that's too much and you're going to walk it back, because you're going to risk harm and setbacks to your strengthening journey if you push too far. So we want to work just below the level that we lose that control of pressure. So that's probably all the main things for our plank progression. I will just note that your postnatal recovery, particularly for core and pelvic floor, it might not be linear. You might feel strong and steady in full plank one day and then not so steady another day. And maybe you do the easier version on those other days. Maybe it's something to do with your menstrual cycle or the amount of exercise you've been doing or how tired you are, what time of day it is. Who knows how the stars are aligned. Whatever the reason, it's all good. Just take a step back, go for an easier pose, try again a different day. Your strength will get there with patience and persistence.